very good morning to all my dear students. Yesterday we learnt about how we are able to see different things, the non-luminous objects, right? So it's all because of reflection. The non-luminous objects reflect the light that is incident on them, and that reflected rays enter our eyes and we are able to see different things, right? Today we are going to learn about the laws of reflection. The things, the light doesn't simply fall on any object and simply doesn't reflect. It follows certain rules. And today we are going to learn the laws of reflection. So in our last video we learned about the perception of vision. So we saw how the luminous objects are visible to our eye. Also we saw how the non-luminous objects are visible to our eye. Because non-luminous objects cannot generate their own light, they reflect light and thus they become visible, right? So today we will be learning how this reflection actually happens, the phenomenon of reflection. So if you consider the direction of the light that is emitted, for example, consider a fluorescent bulb, and if you see the light coming out of it, you will see that the light comes in all the directions possible. Can you name what kind of beam is it called? It's called as the divergent beam of light rays. So each line here represents the ray of light. So what is a ray of light? It is nothing but a straight path along which the light travels. We all know that the light travels in straight lines. So we can consider the straight path along which the light travels as a light ray. So this is how the light reflects. So here you can see that the light coming from a source of light such as a bulb, it touches the surface and it gets bounced back or reflected. So you can see that the point where the incident ray, what is an incident ray? Coming ray, when it touches the surface, that point where the incident ray touches is called as the point of incidence. And after touching the surface, it gets reflected in different directions. So it simply does not reflect in any direction, but it follows certain laws. So you can see at the point of reflection, if you draw a 90 degrees perpendicular line, it's called as a normal. So what is the first law of reflection here? The angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Let us consider once again. For this you need to know what is the angle of incidence. So here it is the angle made by the incident ray and the normal. Can you see there? And it is represented by small I. Same is the reflected ray, reflected angle. What is the reflected angle now? It is the angle made by the reflected ray. Always angle I will always be equal to angle R. That means incident angle of incidence will always be equal to angle of reflection. Okay. So you can understand here that if you change the incident angle, the angle of reflection also changes automatically. So every time, always the incident rays, the light rays follow this law, which is angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. Now coming to the next one, the incident ray, the normal and the reflected ray all lie in the same plane. What does this mean? So you can see that the incident ray and the reflected ray and the normal will be at the same level, in the same plane. Okay. So never it happens that incident ray and the normal be at one plane and reflected ray in a plane different from the incident and the normal. It will never happen. So always remember that incident ray, the normal and the reflected ray all lie on the same plane. That means same level. So here you can see the reflected ray is in a different plane. That never happens. Always all the three will be in the same plane. So in my next video we'll understand more about it, children. Okay.